Hey there, Peter Claes from Masterclaes, and welcome back to my channel, which if you like it, please hit that like button and that subscribe button to support me. Thank you, much appreciated. Today I'm going to do a review and a shootout of a Teletronix, in this case a Universal Audio UA Classics LA-2A versus 10 plugins. If we have a look at the Pro Tools session, we'll see that I have 11 tracks with a recording of an acoustic guitar. And the first track, I've got the Universal Audio hardware unit on it, but I also have the Waves LA-2A. I've got the Overloud Comp LA, which was with the LA-3 a clear winner, so I'm very excited to see and hear what this one's got up his sleeve. We've got the Black Rooster LA-2A, then also the T-Rex White 2A. I've got a Softtube VCA-2A, and of course the Slate FG-2A, which could not be missing out. And then I've got the 4 emulations available from Universal Audio. Maybe the first one, the LA-2, is not a great comparison because it's based on an older model. Then I have the LA-2A, which is based on my not so vintage unit, but hey, let's just be real. This is the only compressor in my racks that is not vintage, but I believe that Universal Audio did such a great job copying the real thing that this one is like getting a vintage unit in new condition. So I'm really happy with that. So they have this one here with the LA-2A, the gray edition. Then they have the Legacy edition, which is basically the gray one without all the transformer or distortion modeling in. And we have the silver one, which is a newer version of the LA-2A that was also distributed by UA back in those days. And it's a much faster compressor, and we're gonna have a listen to that one too. Oh, and I should mention, what is not included is the Cakewalk, because I could not register, so I couldn't get a free demo, and the La compressor, because that's an Audio Units compressor and I am only using Pro Tools, so AAX only. Sorry about that, otherwise it would be the really ultimate compressor shootout, plugin shootout. So these are not included, but we have 10 compressors, still a good start, no? Before we start with the comparison, I would like to rule out some discussions that could arise in this setup. I have inserted a signal generator on a track, and I'm going to show you once how I did it. So I'm going to remove this plugin so we can have a look here at inside. And if I turn on that channel, you see it will have minus 26 loops from the generator. So I'm going to take a compressor like the CLA-2A, the first compressor, and you will immediately see the level jump with 8.5 dB, which might give you that wow factor because wow, it sounds really, really good, but actually it's just louder. So what I did is reduce the peak reduction to 0, so no compression, and I am going to match the gain to minus 26, so we have exactly the same level going in and out of the compressor without any level differences. So let's give this a little boost. There you go. And now I'm going to apply 3 dB of compression. So it will read -29 and it should read -3 on the plugin. A little bit more. Oops, that's too much. -29 it is, and it shows a near perfect image on the meter. And now I'm going to boost the output so it shows the -26 again. There you go. So the level with or without the compression is exactly the same, but as you can see here, we can have a look at the harmonic distortion that comes with it. We can also have a look at the metering and the response of the meter, because I told you in the LA-2A review that those optical compressors, they have a 50-50 release. So they have 70 milliseconds in the first 50%, and then they have between 500 and 5 seconds of release time in the last segment of the release. So I would like to have a look at those release times first by comparing the signal generator on-off with the meter. So if I do this with the hardware, you see we have 3 dB of gain reduction. I turn it off and it's still moving towards those 0 dBs. So once again, turn it off. You see, very slow release. What we can also see is the second and third order harmonic distortion, which is a good component in the richness of the compressor. That distortion is imparted by the tubes and the transformers and the whole circuitry. So that's something really neat as well. So if we have a look at the hardware, you see you have 2 kilohertz spike, which is the second order harmonics. Then we have a big third order harmonics, which is really the richness. No 4 kilohertz, then 5, and it goes on like in 7 kilohertz, etc., etc., and it dances around a bit. And also the noise you can see here in the bottom left, which is a component as well. If you want to compare a plug-in to the real stuff, then it should model the noise as well. So if we have a look at the waves, let's check the release time. Really good. Really, really good. Comparable to the hardware. And also the harmonic distortion is pretty good. Compared to the original one, we have a little bit more of the third order harmonic distortion. Here it just drops a bit. No noise, but we can turn on the analog feel here, and you see in the bottom you have those noise figures as well. So I think pure technically, Waves did a great job on modeling it. Then let's have a look at the Overloud. If we have a look at the release, they could have done a better job because it just falls towards the 0. So it's not doing that last 50% pretty accurate. But on the other hand, if we have a look at the noise figures, good. And also the third and second harmonics that are represented are pretty close to the original. This is the Overloud. Of course, that's due to the fact that they have a flexible harmonic distortion function where we can have a linear or a more distorted setting. So if we go to linear, you'll see this. If we go to distortion, we see this. And if we turn it down, like somewhere here, and we compare it to the hardware, sound-wise, I expect a lot from it. Then we have the Black Rooster VLA-2A. The meter is not really accurate. No noise, and harmonic-wise, they have modeled the second order, but not the third order as strong. And then upwards from that, there's no harmonic distortion. So I think this one is going to be a real clean version of it. And let's have a look at the metering. They did a great job on getting that meter to fall in 2 segments. Then we have the T-Rex, no noise, 2 kilohertz, strong 3 kilohertz, a little bit 4, which is non-existent in the other ones. Not a totally correct meter, but hey. So let's have a look at the meter response. Very decent job there. So now let's have a look at the soft tube. Oh, no second order harmonics. Oh, there it appears. That's strange. Is it because it's a demo? I don't know. But the second order harmonics, they appear and disappear. Also, the meter is not really correct. And no noise. So I'm wondering what's wrong with this emulation. Also, let's have a look at the meter response. Not that great either. Okay, let's continue with the Slate VMR, the Virtual Mix Rack Strip FG2A. The metering is correct, although if you look at the scale of all the rest and the hardware, they just used a different scale because in the other ones, if you just divide it in 2, you're near -3 dB. And here you are at also -3 dB, but it's like -6 in the middle. So the scale of the meter is just a little bit throwing me off if we're gonna have a look at it, what it does. So let's have a look at the response of the meter. Also, good job. And they have the 2 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, like a really complex harmonic distortion, although I would like to see the 3 kilohertz a little bit stronger, but they left out the noise. And then we have the LA-2. It is not exactly a copy of what we have here and against all the rest, but it's the first version of the Teletronix LA-2. And it is a pretty slow compressor. So you will hear that later on in the audio example, that it might be a little bit more sluggish attack-wise, but also release-wise. Not a lot of harmonic distortion going on and also no noise. But let's have a look at the meter response. You see very slow release. We can't compare it, as I said, but let's have a listen to that one later on. Then we have the LA-2A, the gray one, which should be an exact copy of my hardware unit. And the metering is correct. Let's have a look at the release. Good, as you could expect from their own product, of course. And if we have a look at the harmonic distortion, we have a great deal of harmonics, so it's going to be a very rich sounding compressor. The third order might be a little bit higher, but you know, it could be that mine is just a little bit off balance and theirs is absolutely perfect. And they left out the noise component as well. And then we have the Legacy, which is using less DSP, and they left out the modeling of the distortion and the transformers, and that's obvious if you have a look here, because they don't do the second order harmonics, but they do have the third order harmonics and no noise as well. But this is a great compressor if you want a taste of the LA-2 and don't want to spend a lot of DSP on it. So for cleaner stuff, this might be perfect to use. Also, the modeling of the meter is perfect as it should be. Then we have the silver one. We'll have a look at that one. Metering perfect. But the silver one is a later version of the gray one and mine. It was also distributed by UA, I think. But they just kept the same designation, LA-2A, but they had a silver face. Also there, if you look at the harmonic content, it's amazing what they did. So if you want to compare it back to my hardware here, you see, it's even more generating more harmonics than with my my hardware one. So a very complex compressor, and it's going to be faster because they used a different T4 in it for a faster response. So let's have a listen to the compressors. I'm going to have 8 bars of acoustic guitar through the hardware. Then I'm going to switch to the waves, then back to the hardware, the overloud, back to the hardware, and you will see it highlighted every time if you compare it to the different plugins. So please leave your comments below and subscribe to my channel if you like this video. You can also hit that like button. Thank you. So here we go. The hardware LA-2A. Is hardly moving, and also like almost a very clean sound, the Black Rooster. A little bit of a disappointment if you ask me. So go back to the hardware and then go to the T-Rex. Also there, meter hardly moving. They modeled, but it's not comparing to the rest, if you ask me. Please leave your comments below. I think the results are very different. Some compressors, they just don't compress that much as the original one. The other ones compress more. That's the impression what I have with the CLA-2A. Yeah, you want to have a listen to them just back to back one more time, and let's start with the hardware and end with the UAD LA-2A, the silver one. Let's go. Again, what do you think? Comments, you can leave them. For me, I think the hardware version is just rich, solid, transparent, never too obvious when compressing. CLA-2A is fast. I like it because it also does the noise emulation from the real stuff. Then we have the Overloud, which is very comparable figure-wise if we analyze it with the insight regarding harmonic distortion. I like it that you can choose how much harmonic distortion you want to impart. Also, the Overloud does automatically give you the opportunity to do some oversampling. So even at lower sampling frequencies, you have the artifacts that come with it from getting your session into higher sampling rates, which I like because it's a little bit like those Fabfilter plugins where you can also choose the oversampling, and that's a plus because it doesn't eat up all those resources, but on the money channels you can have a good plugin with the capability of the oversampling. Then we have the Black Rooster. For me, I'm not that convinced because it does not do the noise, does not do like all the harmonic distortion. A good thing is if you throw it on a track, the level stays. Like if you do that with the CLA-2A, your level jumps. I had all these figures here in front of me while I was putting them in. Also, the jam comp is very true to input versus output if you throw the plugin on a track. iKey T-Rex. Negative stuff is that if you demo it, you get some pink noise from time to time, so it's not easy to just give it a lengthy comparison. But for me, the metering was not that. Also, it was just not compressing that much as it should be in comparison to all the rest, even though levels and threshold, etc. was all set in an identical way. Same with Softtube VC2A. I don't feel that compressor. Also, you know, it cuts out in demo and then you have to restart your Pro Tools again. So it throws me off a bit to have a lengthy test. Also no noise. Metering was decent. Also the harmonic distortion was there. But yeah, it features a sidechain that you can put it in and just have a different setting. But you know, we have the emphasis, which I didn't explain, but you can find the whole explanation in my LA3 video. So up till now, I think Waves and the Overloud are just great competitors. Then we have the Slate. Great looks and easy to combine with other compressors. Also a mix feature, which is nice. You also have the high frequency emphasis, which is nice. But the metering throws me off because all the rest of the emulations, they have the same metering as we have here in the hardware. It's a faster compressor. I think it's more like a little bit of the silver one, but Steven said in his own video that no two LA-2As sound alike. That might be true, but we are comparing it with mine, so we can only hear what we have to compare and not what they had to compare. Then we have the Universal Audio Collection. None of them have the noise, which is, by the way, something that Overloud does really good, because when you stop your track, the waves will continue to get the noise into your signal, while the Overloud only gives you the noise when the track is playing. So that's something I almost forgot to say. LA-2, the old one, pretty slow, but that's from that era. If you compare it to the Gates stay level, they're slow as well. Well, it's gone. I sold it. There's a retro 175s coming my way. I hope they arrive next week and we can do a nice video about them as well. But let's stick to the plan and go to the LA-2A, so the gray version, which is modeled after the vintage version of mine. Pretty much like it. Yeah, it's rich, it's fat, it's beefy. Might be not as transparent as the hardware, but that's a matter of taste. Then we have the Legacy. They did not do the modeling of the distortion nor the transformers, and that's something we have seen in the inside. But still, it has that LA-2A character, not as rich as the LA-2 gray, but really nice. And then we have the latest edition in the hardware version that was sold by Teletronix and UA, and that's the silver one, which had a faster T4 and a faster response. So once again, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. Don't hesitate to leave me a comment, and I hope to see you next video, which will be promising again. Thanks for watching. I'm Claes from Masterclaes. Bye bye.